and she's the aggressor, and it's fantastic.
But any feeling on your part against Bobby Ray?
Oh no, it's just that he's been bragging so much.
Hello, hope your day is wonderful. Claudine Longet has now turned 83 and a rare quiet. Now, after decades of seclusion, Longet has unexpectedly shared about the greatest love of her life, who is the person she still holds in her heart after all these years. Let's explore the portrait of Claudine Longet today and her emotional confessions in the last years of her life. The love story with Andy Williams, a chance encounter on a Las Vegas boulevard in 1960, sparked one of Hollywood's most talked about romances, ultimately becoming a relationship that would endure even beyond their marriage. The fateful meeting between Claudine Longet and Andy Williams occurred when her car broke down on the Las Vegas Strip. Williams, already an established American singer at 32, stopped to offer assistance to the 18-year-old French dancer who was performing as lead in the Folies Bergère Revue at the Tropicana Resort and Casino. This roadside encounter quickly blossomed into romance. Longet once remarked about their early relationship, "I fell in love with Andy through sport," noting that unlike most dancers who socialized after midnight shows, she went straight back to my apartment to wake up in good shape to go skiing. After a whirlwind courtship, the couple married on December 15, 1961 in Los Angeles. Their 14-year age gap raised eyebrows, but Williams was smitten with the petite brunette with the beguiling accent and large eyes, later calling her "my favorite French singer." Their union marked the beginning of a significant chapter in both their lives. Throughout the 1960s, the Williams-Longet household expanded with the arrival of 3 children. Their first child, daughter Noelle, was born on September 24, 1963, followed by sons Christian on April 15, 1965, and Robert, nicknamed Bobby, on August 1, 1969. Family life intertwined with their public careers, particularly on The Andy Williams Show, where Claudine often appeared alongside her husband and children. These appearances reinforced their image as the perfect American family. Their popularity extended beyond entertainment circles as they developed close friendships with political figures, including Bobby and Ethel Kennedy. The combination of parenthood and performing created a seemingly idyllic existence. Yet beneath the surface, challenges were emerging. In his autobiography, Williams acknowledged that constant touring and time away from home began to drive a wedge in the marriage. By the end of the 1960s, the relationship had deteriorated significantly. Williams candidly admitted, "The thrill I used to get when I saw her walking towards me had faded. The private, intimate looks we used to exchange were less frequent." He ultimately realized that Claudine had fallen out of love with me. The couple separated in 1970, with their divorce finalized in January 1975. Throughout the separation period, they maintained an unconventional but amicable relationship. During this time, Longet moved to Malibu with their children and began seeing other companions. According to friends, she would occasionally call Williams to babysit when she went out. Even after their divorce, Williams and Longet preserved what he described as a very good friendship. This extraordinary post-marital bond was put to the test following the 1976 shooting of Olympic skier Vladimir "Spider" Sabic, Longet's boyfriend at the time. Williams demonstrated remarkable loyalty, accompanying his ex-wife to court proceedings daily throughout her trial. Their son Bobby later reflected on his parents' unique relationship, saying, "They had a great relationship. As a child I said, 'Boy, I'm glad my parents aren't divorced.' And they were." This sentiment perhaps best captures the extraordinary nature of their connection, a love story that evolved rather than ended, maintaining its strength through challenging circumstances until Williams died in 2012. But can that happiness last? The tragedy that followed completely changed her life, thrusting Claudine into the center of a media storm and making everything forever different. The tragedy that changed everything. The sports world and the American public were shocked on March 21, 1976, when one of the most prominent figures in professional skiing, Vladimir "Spider" Savic, was murdered in his Aspen, Colorado home. Not only did it tragically end the life of a sports legend, but it also plunged singer Claudine Longet into an unprecedented legal and media storm that forever changed her public image. Spider Savic was born in 1945 in Sacramento, California, to a modest family. His father was a California Highway Patrol officer who nicknamed his son Spider because of his thin frame at birth. Growing up near the Sierra Nevada range, where harsh winters provided ideal conditions for snow sports, Savic developed a passion for skiing at an early age. His outstanding talent took him to the University of Colorado on an athletic scholarship, where he was coached by legendary coach Bob Beatty, who played a key role in turning Savic into a phenomenon. At the 1968 Winter Olympics, Savic represented the United States in the slalom and finished fifth, an impressive achievement. He then turned professional and immediately made his mark by winning the professional championship in 1971 and 1972. Not only was he talented, but Savic also possessed a handsome appearance, long hair like a California surfer, and a charming freestyle style. This helped him become a popular star, appearing on the cover of GQ magazine and being sought after by the media like a rock star. In 1972, fate brought him to meet Claudine Longet, a former French pop singer, at a celebrity ski race. Longet had just divorced singer Andy Williams and was living with her 3 young children. Savic and Longet's relationship developed quickly. By 1973, she and her children had moved in with Savic at his luxurious home in Starwood, a wealthy community near Aspen. But while it seemed ideal on the surface, a family that blended Hollywood glamour and sporting glory, the reality was far from ideal. Close friends of the couple say there were tensions between them. Savic, who was considering a divorce, felt suffocated in what he considered a confining relationship. Some sources say he was considering ending their relationship and was asking Longet to move out. Those quiet conflicts came to a head one fateful Sunday afternoon. On March 21, 1976, Savic returned from a day of skiing at Buttermilk. While she was in the shower, wearing only her underwear, Claudine Longet entered with a 9mm Luger pistol, a replica of a World War II design that Savic owned. A single shot from the gun pierced Savic's abdomen and caused rapid blood loss. He died en route to the hospital, despite efforts by paramedics. Longet claimed that she did not mean to shoot. According to her testimony, she was holding the gun and asking Savic about its safety when it accidentally went off. However, investigators found many inconsistencies, most notably Longet's retention of police tape recordings at the scene and her diary entries describing her relationship with Savic, all in violation of the law, as she had not been informed of her right to remain silent. The defense attorneys succeeded in having the evidence thrown out in court, which many saw as a serious legal loophole. The case immediately became a media sensation. Aspen, a sleepy ski town, was thrust into the world spotlight. Hunter S. Thompson, a local journalist, described the scene as a media frenzy that stripped Aspen of its innocence. Major news outlets flocked to the case, from the New York Times to Newsweek, to British tabloids like the Daily Mirror, which called Aspen a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah for the decadent lifestyles of the elite who gathered there. Locals were not on Longet's side. Everybody hated her, one resident told the press. The resentment was further fueled by Longet's appearance at Savic's funeral, which many considered an insult. In the midst of this, the only person who publicly defended her was her ex-husband Andy Williams, who flew in and appeared with her at the trials, hand in hand, to the astonishment of the public. Public opinion was sharply divided. One side claimed that this was a tragic accident. The other accused Longet of acting in a fit of jealousy and anger. The shocking outcome of the trial: Claudine Longet was convicted of negligent manslaughter and sentenced to only 30 days in prison, allowed to be served intermittently on weekends, so that she could still care for her children. She served her sentence quietly, and has largely disappeared from the limelight ever since. Spider Sabich's death not only ended a glorious sporting journey, but also buried the brilliant image of Claudine Longet, making her a controversial figure in popular culture for decades. But the case did not end with the verdict. Despite the court's decision, public skepticism remained, and life for Claudine Longet in the town of Aspen was never the same again. So what happened after the shocking trial? How did Claudine Longet move on? And does Spider Sabich's legacy live on in the public eye? After the trial, the aftermath of the sensational 1977 trial marked a definitive turning point in Claudine Longet's life trajectory, fundamentally altering her public presence forever. After 4 days of testimony, the jury took less than 4 hours to return a verdict of criminally negligent homicide, a misdemeanor rather than the more serious manslaughter charge originally brought against Longet. Judge George Lohr sentenced her to a $250 fine and 30 days in jail. In an unusual arrangement, the judge allowed Longet to choose when to serve her sentence, citing consideration for her role as a mother of 3 children. She opted to serve most of her time on weekends. The Sabich family expressed outrage at what they perceived as an extremely lenient sentence. They subsequently filed a $780,000 wrongful death civil suit against Longet. This case never reached trial, ultimately being settled out of court with a crucial stipulation. Longet signed a confidentiality agreement, preventing her from ever discussing the case publicly or writing about it. Public criticism intensified immediately after her conviction. Consequently, Longet shocked many by vacationing in Mexico with her married defense attorney Ronald Austin, who left his wife and family to be with her. This relationship, born amid tragedy, proved enduring. The couple dated for 5 years beginning in 1980. On June 1, 1985, they married, starting a union that has lasted nearly 4 decades. They celebrated their 39th wedding anniversary in 2023. Essentially, Longet's retreat from the spotlight was shaped by both legal constraints and public hostility. For years after the trial, she avoided Aspen's popular establishments. Local stories circulated about waitresses deliberately spilling drinks in her lap, with one friend of Sabich's remarking there were several restaurants where I wouldn't have liked the idea of tasting her soup. Throughout the years, she maintained her silence regarding the Sabich case, reportedly burning her journal after it was returned to her following the trial. Her professional musical activities ceased entirely after the tragedy, restricted to occasional compilation albums. In recent years, Longet and Austin reportedly continued living on Aspen's Red Mountain, not far from where Sabich was killed, although more recent reports suggest they may have relocated to Hawaii. Today, at 83, Claudine Longet remains one of music's most enigmatic figures, a voice silenced not by choice, but by circumstance. Nearly half a century has passed since that fateful day, and Claudine Longet still chooses to live a private life, away from all the noise. But time seems to also make people need to face the past. At the age of 83, Claudine suddenly speaks out, not to justify, but to share her deepest thoughts about love, loss, and choosing silence for decades. Is this a belated serenity, or the final confession of a woman who has lived between glory and tragedy? Claudine Confession, at 83. At present, Claudine Longet maintains an extraordinarily private existence, having effectively disappeared from public view for nearly half a century. The former singer, who once captivated audiences with her breathy vocals, turned 83 in January 2025, marking another year of carefully guarded seclusion. Rare glimpses of Longet suggest she has aged gracefully. One journalist reported seeing her several years ago as a petite woman, shopping in the town's small food mall. Unlike many former celebrities who maintain public personas into their senior years, Longet has chosen complete anonymity. Her 70th birthday in January 2012 passed without any public acknowledgement. No verified current photographs exist in public circulation, as she has shunned photographers throughout her later years. Throughout the decades, Longet has maintained near total silence with the media. The singular exception came in 2003, when she briefly participated in an ANN television documentary about Andy Williams. Even then, she spoke only over still photographs rather than appearing on camera. In this rare statement, she reflected primarily on their professional collaboration. To this day, people stop me in the street and say how much they love the Christmas show. Regarding her relationship with Williams, his statement remains the primary insight. She is the mother of my children, and we never stopped being friends. We just didn't want to be married anymore. As for Savage, Longet remains legally prohibited from discussing him or the circumstances of his death. Following the criminal trial, she reached an out-of-court settlement with the Savage family that included a provision that she never discuss or write about the killing or the settlement. Longet's 3 children with Williams, Noel born 1963, Christian born 1965, and Robert born 1969, have primarily influenced her post-fame existence. Indeed, Judge George Lohr allowed her to serve her 30-day sentence on weekends specifically, so she could spend time with her children. Currently, Longet and Austin continue living in Aspen, where they've remained throughout their nearly 40-year marriage, though recent unverified reports suggest a possible relocation to Hawaii. Nearly 50 years on, Claudine Longet remains silent, as if she is living between two worlds, a glorious past and a quiet, mysterious present. Is this prolonged silence an expression of deep regret, or is it simply her way of protecting what remains of her life? If you were Claudine, would you choose to speak up to free yourself, or would you continue to remain silent to keep a low profile? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you, and see you in the next